Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're taking a look at our final figure from the Wave 1 of the Super 7 ReAction G.I. Joe figures. This is Cobra Commander. Now, like the other figures, Cobra Commander is more of a comic-based figure than animation or toy. You can see it here with the light blue details around the collar, the flaring to the helmet, and the little belt details and what have you. Cobra Commander comes with two weapons here. First, it comes with something called the Commander's Pistol, which I would say is very close to what we would consider the standard Cobra laser pistol. Cartoons, the comics, we've seen him use it. And then something here called a grenade pistol, which I would say is a little bit closer to what the pistol the original toy came with, which I believe was called the Python pistol. Looked like a hair dryer, but apparently it was like some sort of pressurized toxin or something like that. It was kind of cool, it could store on the back. It was a very unique looking weapon at a time when a lot of the weapons were very uniform. It was like I would put it up there with Major Blood's rocket pistol. Um, so yeah, but unfortunately there is no storage here on the back for it. But again, comic accuracy, that probably wasn't there. You might notice I'm having to adjust the torso. I've been noticing with the O-ring figures, sometimes the O-rings inside get a little out of sorts, so you kind of have to straighten them out and bring them back, especially when you start moving the other joints. Just something to keep in mind. And of course, there's the little stripe across the helmet. You have this very nice silver faceplate. I did just notice some scuffing right there. But other than that, the articulation is the same as all the other figures we've looked at. Bicep swivel, 90-degree bend at the elbow. Since they're going for that very vintage G.I. Joe look, it's just the swivel head, not a ball joint. The waist swivel, again, due to the O-ring. 90-degree knee bend, forward, back, leg movement, out to the side. I mean, you're not going to do much posing with Cobra Commander. I mean, this is the guy who's going to be standing in a turret or driving a HISS tank. One thing, of course, I do want to mention is having to position the weapons in the hand. I've noticed that unlike some of the other figures we've looked at, a little harder to get this looking straight. I remember that used to be a pet peeve of mine back in the day with my original Joes, and I think that actually led to me stressing the thumbs on them and why a lot of them would end up breaking. And then, of course, I started using them as wrestling figures, and that would lead to the O-ring snapping. Um, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the previous reviews, but apparently, and this even goes with the Hasbro O-ring figures they're doing with the G.I. Joe Transformer crossovers, but it's a higher grade O-ring. That's why, if you notice, it might be a little stiffer to maneuver with. It's supposedly not supposed to rot or break, and they've reinforced the hands so the thumbs won't break when trying to hold the weapon. Now, of course, if you really want the answer as to how am I going to display this, basically I would only use one pistol, less of a chance of like losing the weapon, and I would probably go with the Commander one just because it looks a little more sci-fi and cooler. And like I said, I would have Cobra Commander in a HISS tank. But yeah, I think we can just go right now into my final thoughts. And basically, I mean, it's ultimately positive. Ultimately positive. I did say in the bat review that you should probably pick up the bat first. That's just because it comes with more accessories. But I mean, how can you pass on Cobra Commander? It's Cobra Commanders. You know, Chris Latta's classic portrayal. I do wonder if Super 7 will give us a hooded Cobra Commander at some point. We've talked about that in the past. I do feel the tides of change are coming, and so we might actually get a hooded Cobra Commander. But in terms of more figures, I don't know what's coming. I've seen prototypes, but just ask fans of the Machine Robo line from Action Toys. Prototypes don't mean much. I know, as I said, Big Bad Toy Store have their exclusive Tomax and Zaymot, the Crimson Twins, in their suits. Um, and that's about it. I know that if they had their super carrier got funded, this is where they first revealed that they were doing the O-rings, and you had like the Cobra Trooper pack that was like the Cobra Troopers that were on that air carrier. Now, I thought those were going to be separate from the carrier and that those would still be made, but maybe not. So I know I would like to see, really some more of the figures. Traditional looking bat, like go with the classics. Duke. Uh, let's see what they can do with Scarlet. Maybe give us an articulated ponytail at this scale. But again, one thing I should mention is like this is a figure line that's going close to $20, and for a few bucks more, you can get those 6-inch figures. And I really think the 6-inch figures have been killing it a little bit better. I mean, these Super 7 has always been a niche company, and their niche has been making toys for people who don't consider themselves toy collectors. And really, the ReAction line, or the ReAction Plus line, this is really going for guys like the G.I. Joe collectors who, probably are toy collectors and, play with them. So, I mean, how are they going to do vehicles and stuff like that? Oh, by the way, just as an aside, since we are in the holiday season, keep an eye out on Amazon. They still have stock of like the G.I. Joe crossover Megatron his tank. Yeah, if that's going for like $30 or less, pick it up. Even if you don't like the way Megatron looks, even if you don't like the transformation, it's a great looking Hiss tank. Comes with Baroness, and this would be perfect to display your Cobra Commander in. And I mean, if you go back to my review, I mean, it really was a great looking Hiss tank that if you didn't know where to look, you wouldn't know that it was a robot in disguise. But that's about it. I got this figure from Target. I still have not seen them popping up yet on other websites. I really should need to check more. I think they're available on Big Bad Toy Store. The problem is you try to search for ReAction Plus, you get a lot of the ReAction figures. So if you have images of the figure, just make sure that to look at the shoulders, and if you see the rivets here and then in the elbow, that's the ReAction Plus version instead of the straight arm 5 points of articulation version. Well, that's it for the review. If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. I know many of you are not even going to watch it because it's G.I. Joe. Well, I appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions. Help communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. Like I always say, if you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month or $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, if you can't afford the $1 a month, $12 a year, especially in this holiday season, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just the ultimate cherry on top of a sundae. Well, that's about it. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for Cobra Commander. We will see you next time. Actually, wait, this is a comic figure, so would you like a nice deal on a used hatchback?